Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whenever and wherever you are. This is the Holistic Monitor with Nick Scogna. On today's episode, we're going to be listening to a seminar from 1986. It's a sales seminar for practitioners and salespeople of SAF, the self-awareness formulas. In this episode, we'll be listening to the release of a book and homeopathic program on controlling emotions, Emote Kontrol. The first part in this two-part series, you'll be listening to Joseph R. Scogna going through the 8 homeopathic remedies, the 8 emotions, and learning a lot about how homeopathy is used with SAF, and, of course, how SAF is used to help clients and yourself. Now, this is a Joseph R. Scogna classic. He's a very fun and entertaining speaker in any of his seminars, very lighthearted and sarcastic humor abound. Now, have you taken our free SAF course at the Institute for Modern Holistic Alchemy? That is modernholisticalchemy.com, and we have a free SAF intro course that you can take. This gives you all you need to know about the company and the program of SAF. We also have SAF training for those that want to learn how to help themselves and others. So, as I was saying, the first part is 8 homeopathic remedies. The second part is the 24-part scale of emotion, so that you can, at home, find out where you are on the scale. You can control your emotion. And that is the whole idea behind this seminar, and the release of this book and program, homeopathic program, is that the everyday person can begin to know and learn that they too can move and adjust and control their emotion. Control is a method of healing in the SAF world that uses discharge and charge from homeopathic remedies to move emotion or mental states. And in this, you'll learn a lot about how the homeopathic remedies are utilized, as well as just the insight into the emotional state. The 24-part chart in the second episode in the series is just fantastic, very involved, and I did it myself. I was at 13.5, pain of hope, reaction against despair. So that seems pretty good. And the goal with the chart is to get to elation, no need to protest. Very good chart, really entertaining seminar, and I was listening to this and I thought, this is definitely one that's going to have to be part of the podcast. It's a very complete seminar, very complete section of a longer seminar, but other parts of the seminar were the iMore image and Omni range, and also there was, in the beginning of this seminar, going over how to process a chain and how to work with people's SAF chain, and formatting for monitoring, which is guiding the client along the process of working their chain. So this first and second episode are from January 11th, 1986. It's a 2-part series on Emote Kontrol. And we'd love to hear some feedback wherever you're listening. If you want to leave a comment, hopefully it will trickle through to me. You can go to the anchor page for the Holistic Monitor and leave an audio as well, in which I will be responding to those as they come through. So I hope you enjoyed this first episode, and we'll be playing the second episode next week. All right, let's listen in.
Just crushed in from all around. And they don't have a bubbly, shiny aura feeling. Okay? And that is what the problem is. You don't want that to happen, because when a person is put in a position of being made wrong, they don't move. Okay? When they're right and everything's good, they're daring, they're relaxed, they push on, they really make things happen. Okay? They're not going to make anything happen if you get in their way with your stupid program. Okay? Don't let your stupid program get in their face and mess them up. Make sure that your program is on the right level at the right time. That's a very important thing that you have to know. And the next thing you have to know is you've got to have a metering. You've got to have an infrared device that can monitor your step all the way up the chart. Now, obviously, if you're going to have a chart, you're going to have the programs to go with it. Okay, and that's what we're talking about. And I was going to give you some basic formats. And I told you before, when we come back today, you notice I'm talking a lot faster right now because I want to make up for the last hour that we learned. Okay. We have a new program coming on board, which is this Emote Kontrol thing. And I hope that this is going to work out to be something really important for everybody in the program, because it's going to be something that you can use to stave off any eventual negative emotion that you are surrounded by. Okay? A how-to book on emotional control. It's called Emote Kontrol. Okay? And we are going to market this thing so that the person can take a test and then look up exactly what they have to do. And they will get the idea that control is possible. And I'd rather sell the book to somebody than the products first. And give them the idea that they can do it. You know, here, you can be a monitor yourself and take this book and look up and figure out, you know, what your emotions are doing and how to control them. And then they can buy the products later and do it, you know, and do it that way. That's important. But, see if I have my paper with me. This thing's so hot and so new that I just happen to have carrying this thing around with me. Make sure that here it is. Yeah, I'm going to, because of the homeopathic viewpoint and Hahnemann and all that, we're going to lean heavily on that. We are making this program in German so that everyone will understand that it comes from Germany originally. And we break it down into 8 basic emotions. Now, there's over 1,000 different attitudes and emotions that come from attitude, more or less a concept. Attitude, basically, we look at attitude as a static emotion, an unmoving, where there's no charge, there's no movement, there's no energy, okay? Just it's something that the way a person looks at something, it doesn't intimate any emotion, whereas an emotion itself, like anger, is like more or less like a kinetic, you know, something that's, you know, aggressive. So we're having over 1,000 of these attitudes and emotions all in this book so that they can look each one of them up, and there's such, you know, things like envy and jealousy and feeling like a bored, and it's like a lot of different crazy ones you probably haven't seen before. They're all in there. And what the viewpoint is, there's going to be 8 products that go with this. Plus, of course, in the book you're going to have the vitamins and the minerals and the herbs, also generic, that they can take as well, and in detail of dosage and usage and all that. Again, it's going to be a self-help book, but it breaks it down to 8 levels or bottles that we will use in combinations to affect all of the other attitudes and emotions. Okay? So there's 8 basic emotions. And the 8 basic emotions are, number 1, in the first bottle, top bottle, is happiness. Karen, you have that scale? Did you have that scale, the emotional scale? Can you grab that? I want to put that up there too so they could, I think it's real good for these people to pick out where they are on the scale so that they can see where they're going. And in happiness, of course, in happiness, in German, happiness is das Glück. And this is what's on the bottle, das Glück, like that. Isn't that how you say it? Glück? Glück. Ein glücklich, fröhliche Weihnachten und ein glückliches neues Jahr. Is that good? A little slur there, but I'll bone up on it a little bit, and then we'll fly over to Deutschland and kick ass over there for a while. Okay, and then bottle number 2. Oh wait, let me just tell you what's in it. In this bottle, happiness, we have... yeah, you got it. That's the way to do it. And it's not doers either. Johnny Walker Red, right? I just put the guy with the cane. Radium and phosphorus. So we're using radiation, basically. The bubbly, chargy kind of zip, 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 zzz, give you a buzz. And these are used in homeopathy. These are used for depression, the opposite, of course, depression, hypoglycemia, worn down, program breaks, messed up, chopped off, inhibited, etc. Okay, so the formulation for this is radium at 8x and phosphorus at 4x, just like that. Now in bottle 2, we have boredom. That's another condition. Now, and boredom is a little bit different. Thanks. Boredom is an emotion that is a kind of just a constant. It's a very relaxed kind of feeling, but it's also just a constancy to it. In other words, not much modulation. It's the same thing over and over again. And in German, they call it die Langeweile. No?
L-A-N-G-E, that's all. Langeweile.
Oh, Langeweile. Okay. It did? All right, well, just to make, don't want to make Ed uncomfortable. But it was in the, check it, see if it is in it. Okay, the Langeweile sounds like long while, but I'm not going to write all on the board, but it has apis in it, honeybee, phosphoric acid, gold, calcium, iron, sulfur, and apis mellifica is a honeybee, and it has phosphoric acid, has gold, calcium, iron, sulfur, and zinc. Now, a lot of these bottles are all going to lean towards minerals. It's a mineral coordinated program because in the book it talks a lot about the fact that mood and concept and energy fluctuation come from the conductivity of electrolytes and metals in the body, plus the association of amino acids, neurotransmitters, etc. I don't want to get into it real deep, but I want to put more attention on the fact that if we use certain combinations of minerals at certain rates and potencies, we can eliminate some of the charge off of these problems. Okay, the next bottle, the next nifty bottle that you'll have is vexation. Now, we know a lot of people that are vexed. There's no doubt about that. Teased, annoyed, antagonized, okay? And in German they call this die Plage. You got the plague. Is that right? P-L-A-G-E. Plage, okay. Die Plage, okay. And in this bottle is antimony, which is a metal, chamomile, nux vomica, which is strychnine, believe it or not, rat poison. And if you're vexed and teased, you most certainly probably have drunk some rat poison from somebody. Pulsatilla, which is a windflower, bismuth, and sulfur. And then...
There must be a connection here between the word plague and the fact that it's rat poison because of the bubonic...
Yeah. Never even thought of it. But that's good. It's a good connection.
What else?
bismuth and sulfur. And the next one is pain as an emotion. Now pain, of course, in this happiness, the energy is bubbly, blah, 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 like this. Boredom, it's not as bubbly, it's not inhibited, but it's very regular. It's the same thing over and over again. I wake up in the morning, I eat my breakfast, I go to work, I have lunch, and I go back to work. You know, it's the same thing over and over again. Vexation is a little bit different. Now, the regular pattern of life is interrupted. Someone's starting to tease the pattern. There's interferences coming in from outside. Okay, the person is not angry, they're just annoyed, they're just being picked on and they don't like it. They haven't reached the point of anger. Now, which is basically anger and pain are the center points of our emotional program. Pain and anger, because we know that they're the ones that the person emits the most charge on. Okay, these other things, they don't feel as much actual electrical charge. When somebody gets angry, they really feel like they get burnt. You know, you can feel electric charge. I mean, there's no doubt about it. I get somebody mad enough. It's really easy to get somebody mad and upset, and that is to crack in on their flow. It's very simple. The person has a concept. They're trying to use energy to create a picture. Okay, so in their own, and just in basic communication, you can make someone annoyed and teased without any trouble. That is, interrupt their sentence. Finish their sentences for them, you know, like just use a very poor communication format, and just you know, ask them multiple questions without letting them answer, you know, because if I say, "What's your name?" and you say, "My name is Ed," "Where do you live?" You know, because now you have the pictures halfway, it's out, half out, it's stuck, it's not all the way created, and they want you to cough up another one. So the second question is now interfered with the first response. People who finish the sentence, I mean, it's like, you know, a person is trying to create a picture, and the other person is trying to fill the picture in for them. So they say, "I'm going down to the store." No, the bathroom, you know. And then you get that tingle kind of, you know, and it starts to go up the back of your spine, your shoulders start hurting, and now you're a little bit shaky because you know you can't, they're not letting you make the pictures in your own mind, your own matter. They're creating an interruption on your flow line, okay? So, and that's what CRTs are for, to teach you not to do that, because if you want to be friends with somebody, you certainly don't sit there all day finishing their sentences, messing them up, tripping them, you know, drop kicking them, and after a while they feel beat up and exhausted. You know, they don't want to talk to you anymore. So, pain, the bottle for, and the German that will be on the bottle. It will say it on the bottle. It's not going to say pain. It's going to say der Schmerz. Boy, that Schmerz. They're real easy to remember, you know. Der Schmerz, you know. And in the pain bottle you have, again, honeybee, apis mel, barium chloride, belladonna, calcium, magnesium, vitamin A, vitamin C, and niacin. Apis, which is a honeybee, because that gives you the schmerz. Real quick. You know, if you interrupt the bee trying to make some honey, then they're going to interrupt you a little bit. Barium chloride, belladonna, calcium, magnesium, vitamin A, C, and niacin. We'll be out with these in less than a couple of weeks. But we want to put the book out so that they'll have... See, that's a real funny thing, because in the FDA, you're not allowed to make a book. You're supposed to just give them the bottle and let them try to figure out what it's for. Because you can't make any claim. Right? Sure, that's what life on the planet's all about, you know. Give them the schmerz. Now, the next one, and like I said, the center, we have 8 things, so you can see that 4 and 5 are the center of this whole program, is pain, and then you've got anger. Now in anger, the flow, well, we didn't do pain. Pain, there's a lot of opposition coming in, but in anger, you almost have direct opposition. Your flow is moving this way, and there's another person right against you, opposing you. And it's called oppression. But there are like, and then you know what happens in oppression? Like you get things like El Salvador, Managua, Libya, anything where there's a direct oppression, anger, the next thing that happens, everything's thrown against the opposition, and it keeps escalating to the point where bullets start flying, and then cannons, and then missiles, it just keeps escalating higher and higher and higher until the only way that you can stop that is a compromise, And if people compromise, they can certainly continue to exist. The minute somebody hangs on one viewpoint of the way they want things to be, and the other person hangs on the opposite viewpoint, then you have their schmerz and their zorn, it's called. Anger. Okay. And the zorn, you have bryonia, you have chamomile. Bryonia is wild hops. That's like the stuff that that the wild people make beer with. The wild guys in the mountain. And chamomile and colocynthus, which is the squirting cucumber. This is not the cucumber that when you put the knife in, it just drips. This is the one that squirts you in the eye. And you have jasmine. Not jasmine. And nux vomica, which is good old standby rat poison. And staphysagria, which is stave's acre. It's a kind of a plant. And gold and salt. And that combination, according to the homeopathic materia medica and our computerized laser program that has compiled all this, these are the ones with the most punch against anger. But in combination with other basic emotions, like for instance, happiness, boredom, and anger will get rid of like an arcane attitude, does not want to be seen in the presence of women or something. Like there's a lot of wild ones that we have that, so there's 1,000 different attitudes and emotions. Combinations of the basic ones can handle the more, precise, relatively obscure ones. And a person may have, for instance, a lot of fears, like fears of heights, of crowded spaces, elevators and stuff, that you use combinations of they're just basically combinations of these basic emotions. All right, then we have the bottle number 6, which is fear. Now, fear is a neat category, because in fear, there's a whole category list, including fear, treachery, and harm to others. Okay? The reason why a person has fear is because they are afraid that they will be harmed by others, because they have harmed others. It's just a big circle, you see. A person is fearful because he knows he's done something wrong, and he's worried about retribution, you see. And that's is a very neat area here, fear, because the person is worried that treachery will take place, and they're worried, they don't know how it's going to come to them. So they're worried all the time. Like, I wonder how I'm going to buy it, So fear is called the angst. Almost like, anxious, worried. But at the same time, it encompasses those areas which include stealth and, plotting, and just, constantly trying to figure out how to get the other guy. It's a different kind of circumstance, because in fear, the flow here, there was an anger flow where all of the energies were pitted against each other. Now the person begins to pull back some of his energy. He's not flowing everything in. He's not telling all. In anger, he was saying, "You are a dumb, no good, dumb guy. I hate you," and all this sort of thing. Now, in fear, is different. He's being very selective and prevaricating, and only using certain terms to throw the person off, because he's afraid of the comeback. See? So now he's holding certain things back in a stealthy way. And the things that are in there is phosphoric acid, phosphorus, honeybees in here, and belladonna. and gold, mercury, lead, radium, tin, uranium, calcium, magnesium, and potassium. A lot of metals. Fear is a real metal event. Gold, mercury, lead, radium, tin, uranium, calcium, magnesium, and potassium. Fear, anytime a person has a fear, it's a heavy metal war, it's called. When the heavy metals start to become confused and the conductivity of the body becomes split. Okay. Decomer. That is the seventh one. What's that? Decomer. K-U-M-M-E-R. Decomer. Grief, right. Now here you have grief. Now in grief, the person starts to really, split in pieces. That's why little tear drips. The person's basically a big bag of water, really. Water content's, 75-80%. And when the tears start coming out, it shows that they're getting split apart. And little pieces of their body are falling off. Okay? And it's called der Kummer. K-U-M-M-E-R, and it has ammonia in it. A honeybee again, apis, graphites, ignatia, which is a bean. Graphites is carbon, really. And pulsatilla, windflower. And the last one, bottle 8, is the Traurigkeit. Traurigkeit, sadness. So it's the opposite of happy. Happy is the top, Traurigkeit is sadness. The opposite, the eighth one, is the sad bottle. And in that you have gold, you have ignatia, phosphoric acid, calcium, iodine, sodium chloride, which is salt, phosphorus, and silica. And then you got all that stuff in there. Well, you got to look in the book. You got to look in the book now. The book's got some. It's very neat the way it's constructed because each group, like group number 1, has certain sets to them. Several, maybe 20 different sets of emotions and attitudes that go with it, and you pick the set. Now, if you're in the set, like the first group in the first set starts with coma and goes through to anesthetize and benevolence and cheerfulness and happiness, exhilaration, exaltation, and it explains each one how a person may have a misdirected happiness. It could be misdirected. They could be happy because somebody died. Or they could be happy the wrong times for a lot of reasons, If the happy part, this more or less the way it's set up is like a stimulator. It's a stimulator in a negative sense. It certainly is sadness masked by happiness. It's not really happiness. It's social happiness and core unhappiness. So, and this down here is just flat out the Traurigkeit is just, we're starting out with, sad but not so sad, always the saddest sad you can get. It's a whole sad scale, really, So, happiness thinks they're happy when they're really miserable, There's a little bit more confusing up there.
All right. Wow, what a great What a great episode that is. Oh my gosh. I just love hearing emotions laid out in such a way that gives it more clarity. I feel like there's more focus in the knowledge base of the emotions, vexation, pain, oppression, just the extra descriptives. And of course, the German that goes along with it is just hilarious and fun. It is a great seminar. So the second part, we're going to be hearing about the actual scale, and we can follow along, take notes, and put stars by the ones that best represent you. And there's a little bit of math at the end. Yay. It is a really cool system. It's definitely simplified quite a bit. Definitely SAF 100%. See, this is the Emote Kontrol release of the book and the remedies on January 11th, 1986. And what I'm hoping is that this also put in a little bit of interest for you to learn more about yourself and to work with your own emotional state and to think about things on a deeper level, and that in the same way that control is possible. So this is Nick Scogna, the Holistic Monitor, signing off. Until next time.